When it comes to the anime, you know one thing reigns true. These cards are horribly balanced and only exist for the sake of making the writer's job a lot easier in the long run. I need Yugi to have a spell in his hand, so I'll add a card into existence that searches a spell and adds it to your hand. Brilliant! It's a short-term solution that makes a long-term problem occur. How do you bring these cards into real life and not have them break the game? Well, there are 3 ways of doing this. You either make the card real and still make it unbalanced, like how Gumblar is banned in real life despite being thematically the same and being much worse in the anime. You can make it balanced and have the same general feel, like how Golden Castle of Stromberg has the same feel of the anime version, but without it being played in every deck ever made and making the drawback a drawback to the opponent. Or, you can give up and make the card in real life look nothing like what it did in the show, like Card of Sanctity being one of the worst cards ever made, despite it being abhorrently busted in the show. But that's not what today is. Today we talk about the exact opposite. Cards that the writers made terrible for whatever reason, and had to make better for the real-life game. This is probably a good time to introduce myself. I am JCD Gotto, someone who has watched way too many episodes of the show, and decided to base his entire life around it. CapG was kind enough to let me upload a series for his Yu-Gi-Oh! Hierarchy, and that is the best thing ever! I have my own channel with a link in the description and all that jazz, and it would mean the world to me if, after this video, you could check out my channel if you like anime card discussions and primarily top 10s. I also have a series called Dynasty of the Useless, where I tear apart awful anime archetypes similar to another Yu-Gi tuber you may or may not have heard of. If you would like to come down to my channel, that would be greatly appreciated. I upload daily and all that jazz, and you've got the CapG seal of approval right here, buddy! Plugs aside, I know why you're here. You're here to see where the real-life game picked up the slack of the anime or the manga. And I'm here for that. Let's jump right into the list. To kick things off, let's cover how direct anime adaptations would have benefited or ruined monsters more than it did. Malefics were at the very least decent in real life, like how Malefic Stardust helped Gravekeepers win thanks to protecting Necro Valley. This is due to them needing any field spell up to stay on the field and not just die immediately. However, while Malefics in the anime got their base form's effects in 3/5 of the main Malefics, Malefics in the anime needed Malefic World exclusively to stay on the field, meaning you are much more limited as a result. This is a deck in and of itself, and not something you can just put one card of the archetype into a separate deck and then call it a day. This is important to note when going over our number 10 entry, the almighty Malefic Truth Dragon. Truth normally needs just any Malefic to die in order to summon it from the hand or the graveyard. However, in the anime you need the specific trap Malefic Paradigm Shift. This trap has you pay half of your life points when Malefic Paradox Dragon dies to summon Truth Dragon. That's really the main reason why he's on the list, because he cannot be summoned without this bricky trap card, and the specific level 10 synchro that no one really wants to bring out, dying to work. I will give it credit, however, in that its other effects are buffed compared to the real-life incarnation, seeing how the effect works for all Malefics, plus he has protection from destruction by sacrificing other Malefics as if he were a 6 samurai. Even with the buffs to the effect, it's a card that takes too much work to bring out, and no one was playing in real life anyway because it was too hard to bring out. Bringing it onto this list. If you have fought Galaxy or Photon or both in one deck, then you will know this guy. Galaxy Knight is a level 8 warrior that normally has great use as a free normal summon, Revival for Photon Dragon in Graveyard for the instant rank 8. In the anime though, he's still a level 8 and you actually have to tribute summon the thing. Oh well, that's worse, sure, but I can use Photon Sanctuary and still bust out and get my free rank 8, right? It has no revival effect either. Instead, if you have Knight on the field, you can summon another copy of itself to the board from your hand, but you cannot attack with it if you have another card of the same name, and you do because you just summoned it. So yeah, get rid of a main rank 8 maker or a prototype Cypher monster. No thank you. Seriously, thank God for the upgrade they gave Knight IRL. Cyphers were a horrid concept in Arc 5. Why'd you have to bring Kite such a gimmick? You can still make rank 8s, but it's so much harder to do it now, as even if this had the no tribute summon thing, it would still need hand setup, which is way harder than graveyard setup, generally speaking, and especially in this deck. There is no advantage to this card that isn't incredibly fringe, and on that ignorance as to how this card could be better in some circumstances, makes it lower on the list. Still bad, but we have way worse to cover. A rose, my kingdom for a rose by any other name is just as clunky. say hello to our number 8 entry, Rose Lover from the 5D's manga. So this card may just have the most changes of any other card we're going to see today. Lover is a level 1 plant monster known in Duel Links as a powerful plant that gave Aromages and Sylvans free summons with trap immunity, which is very important when the entire meta is based around Wall of Disruption, leading to its semi-limited status along with MARSHALLEAFER, which killed the Sylvan meta entirely. In the real-life game, it was used as a great way to get out your big Sylvan trees back when Soul Charge was unlimited, and we know why that deck died now, don't we? In stark contrast to all of this, in its point of origin, it was a level 4 monster that can only summon Rose monsters from hand. Huh. Okay then, so no trap immunity, and you limit the planted summons to just Rose monsters, of which I ask you to name one in your head. No, you can't count Black Rose or Moonlight Rose, those don't count, ones you can actually use with this thing. You probably thought of Blue Rose Dragon, or maybe Twilight Rose Knight if you watch the anime. But there are a few others this could see use with. The strongest being her Rose Angels in the manga, which by the way have such good artwork. Can we just appreciate that? That's enough appreciating. Which are still big beat sticks that can get the job done, but you could already do that with the real life one, and it has the decency to be a great level for a tuner. Objectively worse than the real life one, and there's no way to say it isn't. Now that's what I'm talking about for this list. If you have faced any kind of modern dinosaur deck, then you should be quite familiar with this bane of a spell card. Double Evolution Pill is a standard power spell that lets you turn any spent dino, and probably hand trap, into a free Ultimate Conductor Tyranno to make dinos one of the best decks in multiple formats. So much in fact that even after hit on the ban list, they're still seeing play today at a highly competitive level with Lost World. But JCD, you may be asking. I looked up Double Evolution Pill, and it does not have an anime version. Well, my viewers asking this question, this is because it goes by another name in the anime, and is much more limited as a result. Ultra Evolution is a spell used by Tyranno Hasselberry, also known as Dino DNA, and lets you banish specifically a machine and a dinosaur from your hand or graveyard to special summon a light dinosaur from your hand or deck. So you can't make Ultimate Conductor Tyranno with it, so there goes the usability already. In fact, you have 3 real options. A gimmick level 4 from the Vrains era, Re-X, or how Re-EX, I mean, Technobabble, Galaxy Tyranno, or Superconductor Tyranno, aka the original purpose of this spell. The buff it got for the real game could be a blessing or a curse, but nothing can defend that the anime version was strictly a meme. Hey look, it's a monster I discussed when I was talking about the worst pendulums in the entire anime and manga, so you know this is gonna be a good one. Welcome back, Supreme King Dragon Darkworm. It lacks in anything that makes Darkworm such a good monster in real life. No setting scales effect as a scale, no searching on summon, and no graveyard special summon effect. It instead holds a lacking effect to negate attacks in the pendulum scale, but, as an added twist, if it's in the form of a monster it can still negate attacks. What a fun and varied monster that would certainly see meta relevance. All this monster served was for fodder for the corrupted U-Boy dragons, and I guess it served that purpose when Zark just wanted to summon Zark and nothing else. Yeah, anime Zark is busted. So is anime Astrograph for just making Zark being able to be busted out whenever you want. But this is where the deck took a huge hit. Those of you unfamiliar with my channel might feel good knowing that I have this running joke that my Discord gets a dessert that changes for every video. It started with me saying, "We have cookies," and it has branched out into every dessert you can imagine being spammed at me in the comment section to include it as the metaphorical sweet used to have people join. I'll switch it up here and say that in my infinite metaphorical baking skills, I have made sure that every person who subscribes to CapG now has metaphorical lava cakes. My boy TPS Platinum is a member of my Discord and made these wonderful proxies you all have been seeing all video. And he wanted lava cakes, so that's what y'all are getting. If you weren't subbed before, you should be now, huh? CapG makes great videos and deserves it. Now spam his comments for desserts, why don't you? And let's get back into the video. In the last video discussing cards made better than the anime's interpretations, I covered Legendary Knight Hermos and how it just improves over its in-real-life counterpart for every single way. Strangely enough, it seems that the head knight never studied on this lesson. Legendary Knight TIMAEUS in the anime has the Legend of Heart condition and all, but then all it does is have a quick effect that allows you to tribute one or more monsters you control. Tribute for what? That's what I want to know, man. It does nothing other than tribute your own cards for no explicit benefit. Well, there's one, but we don't count it? See, the tribute effect does have one purpose. It's to bring out anime TIMAEUS the Knight of Destiny. By tributing those monsters, you get to summon him, and he gets stats equal to the total attack and defense of what got tributed. Since we already have a real-life version of Knight of Destiny, that effect just peters out, and we're left with weird text left over that just says it can delete your monsters like you're playing Pikmin, and you want to teach the one dumb one that keeps getting stuck on walls a lesson, and then you want to make it public so your other Pikmin learn that you rule with an iron fist. Oh, no one else does that? Well, regardless, TIMAEUS has an effect that makes no sense, and is certainly worse than the real-life version, which, you know, actually does something. This monster needs no introduction. One of the main definitions of a monster with a powerful effect held back by a horrid summoning condition. A summoning condition so bad that the anime treats it like the mere summoning of this thing made the economy boom and gave you, yes, you in the audience, a promotion at whatever job you were at instantaneously. Zushin the Sleeping Giant was the boss of Team Taio, and I mean, just look at this ogre, Lord of the Dad Bod. Needless to say how horrible this thing was from a one-off team who only existed to make the crowd not want Team 5Ds to win, which was fun. You have to make a level 1 normal monster stay on your field for 10 or more of your turns. In real life, Zushin puts counters on the specific monster, and if you have 3 in hand, then sure, that just takes 4 turns. Is it incredibly hard to do? Yes. But is it 10 turns? Absolutely not. We all know that going until turn 10 simply doesn't exist anymore, but what if we assume that would happen? Let's go to GOAT format for a moment, a format that's much slower than what we're dealing with right now. Have you ever seen a game have the same monster last the entire game? You have not, I can say that. Especially if you consider it has to be a key mace or a skull servant or anything similarly sad. Hey, can somebody try to get Konami to make support for this thing? They did that for Great Moth, and he was able to be a good boss monster because of it. So why not add Zushin support for the pure expressed purpose to meme? Come on, Konami, you made BES support. This isn't that much of a far cry. Aw man, it's Bronx Stone's turn to shine, but sadly it's only in the same way he has shined forever, and that's in just being garbage. GEARSPRING Spirit is iconic for the rank 8 machine deck. I mean, oh wait, it has a name. Gimmick Puppets. As a free level 8 and stat weakener that takes no commitment and allows you to actually make plays in your inherently bricky deck. It was a very solid card for that purpose, and to make a rank 8, and all for the need of a machine in the graveyard. As for the anime version, its summon is tied to GEARSPRING counters, Bronx's gimmick, and the stat modifying effect. So let's assume GEARSPRING counters exist, right? They don't, but let's assume they do, so it doesn't seem like I'm just ragging on a card for not having support in real life and cherry picking. GEARSPRING counters are used to build up on specific cards and burn the opponent. Kind of like Wave Motion Cannon would be the closest equivalent, which is actually seeing play because Mystic Mine is a card that exists. Well, what if you could negate 800 points of damage for each counter, totaling 2,400 of your own damage that you're dealing to the opponent, just to summon this thing that doesn't help the deck's idea in any way? Sure, you can change the stats of a monster, but why does that matter when you can just burn the opponent to death, which this deck does pretty well and within like 3 or 4 turns on average? It makes no sense, and is in direct anti-support along the lines of GB Hunter, but played off as if you would run GB Hunter in Gladbeast. What kind of backwards world are we living in here? Well, actually the one with a good GEARSPRING Spirit, so yeah, that's comforting. I feel better. Ever made a Resonator deck and thought about what to use as your high-level targets? Well, one of those options was probably the level 6 Fiend monster, Red WARG. Able to special summon itself with the normal summoning of a Resonator monster, there are plenty of quick and easy level 7 and 8 synchros to be made with this thing. However, in the anime, the red monsters were lacking in skills in general, but WARG got it the worst. WARG special summons itself if you summon a red monster. Besides that, you effectively lose your battle phase for the turn as you can't make attacks. First of all, the whole red gimmick went nowhere and no one much cared for them, going instead into the world of Resonators and good support for them. And this card only accidentally could be considered usable, because the best Resonator is also the only good red. So sure, most optimal play in the deck stays untouched, aside from the whole I can't attack thing. Kind of important when one of your boss monsters murders everything that doesn't attack. Pretty huge downside, I may say. It's strange to imagine that there's worse archetype support, but we have number 1, so that's probably worse. I think that's how top 10 lists work. Our number 1 entry is a card that was limited thanks to decks like Thunder Dragons, and gave some banish-focused decks a major surge of power. For you see, Gold Sarcophagus was a pinnacle spell that let decks get that free banish for a resource, and was generally better than Different Dimension Capsule as a result, since being face down helps nobody. Especially to let you banish a Necroface for decks like Stromberg or Metaphys, and get the banishes with a safety net in case of deck out in the castle's case. Not to mention it actually came to your hand at some point as well, you know, the intended purpose of the card when it was printed. However, in the anime, it's nothing. It's a shame of its real-life counterpart. It is a continuous spell that banishes the card face down, like Capsule, but there's no set time limit as to when you can open it because that card's not coming to your hand. Instead, you only use the case as a countermeasure, as when your opponent uses a card of the same name as what you banished, you reveal the banished card to negate the activation or summon of that card and destroy it. Serving nothing more than a mirror match tech that helps occasionally pin down staples, it's the equivalent of Prohibition, but you have to play the card yourself, and it only works once. But no matter what, this spell is a continuous spell! You know what eats those like breakfast? Literally any form of back row removal. That's the main sin of this spell card. Back row removal is so diverse and plentiful in modern decks that even if you use it for stunning one method of popping, another is coming, and even then, it's simply a bad use of a bad card. As well, you can't use it for extra decks, so no Ghost Reaper techs to punish them and their extra deck bosses, which makes the Salamangreat matchup even worse given the fact that Heatleo has the back row shuffle effect, negating any work that you may have put in. God, what an absolute unadulterated disgrace of a card. So that was the top 10 cards that were actually worse in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. Was it good or was it bad? Did you like the time you had? Be sure to let me know in the comments below, and while you're there, be sure to leave a like on the video, and subscribe to the Mega Capital G YouTube channel. While you're there as well, go on ahead and check me out if you like this style of content. It really helps this channel grow, and also helps this straight up turn into a full, or at least part-time job for me. Living the dream is the goal here, and you guys are making that not only possible, but an actual reality. Special shout out to Cap G. I know I'm on his channel, but I want to do like as much as I can to say like, yay, thank you, and I don't think I'll ever be able to like give up that debt. Thank you all so much for sticking with me through all these videos, and until next time, JCD Gado, out.